down all the signals, stop the rain before the page.
Kevn Kinney has been the frontman of Drivin N Cryin for nearly 40 years now. He's worked on side projects and solo albums and even his own podcast, Free Parking. But even long after the days of Drivin N Cryin music getting play on college radio, drawing crowds in both Atlanta and Athens, Georgia, the band continues to write and record great music. Their latest album, Crushing Flowers, is a testament to why Kevn is known as a songwriter's songwriter and a fantastic storyteller. Stay tuned for my talk with Kevn Kinney. Welcome to Frets with DJ Fey, the place to hear great music and interviews with fantastic musicians. Stay tuned. Well, Kevn Kinney, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, and thank you so much for doing this. Oh, you're originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right?
Proudly. Yes, I am. Well, my grandfather's from St. Louis, and my grandmother's from Cahokia and Belleville.
Oh, wow.
And then they moved to Milwaukee when my dad was like in his teens as a teenager. So yes. So I had family in both places.
Well, if all goes as planned, I'll be up in Wisconsin this fall. A friend of mine lives in Madison. He was in Middleton, now he's in Madison, and I keep telling him I'm going to come up and see him, but we'll make that happen. Not too far from Milwaukee.
Right.
Do you ever get back up there?
I go up there pretty often. Yeah, it's a very, Madison and Milwaukee, when I was a kid, I used to take the bus to Madison just to go look at the bookstores and have a Euro, which I thought was called gyro back then.
Yeah.
No one ever really told me. And so, and I think it would cost, $4.75, I think, something like that.
Wow.
Very close.
So I'm curious what your early life in Wisconsin was like. I think you and I grew up, in the same era of like grade school in the 60s, high school in the 70s. What was life in Milwaukee like for you in those days?
Oh, well, my childhood was, I guess most of us that grew up in the 60s you have a couple more years of sunshine before I did. Growing up in 61, I wasn't aware of the assassination of President Kennedy, but I was aware of the assassination of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy. And, I think that we have a bit of denial because it was only dawning on me now, through self-realization therapy that I'm giving myself. Because, Drivin N Cryin is one of the world's greatest quasi-political self-help, quasi-garage rock, psychedelic hard rock folk bands. But I really lived in a whole era of war. Like, I remember war being just war. It was war. Like, I didn't get that people born in the 50s had a little bit of go get 'em, westerns and wacky things. But my whole thing was like really heavy. And so, growing up in Milwaukee, I remember the day that I was outside my house and I heard a band playing in a park. Like I heard a drum set and I didn't know what it was. It was like, there's something happening. So I rode my bike up to this swimming pool that was like 5 blocks away. And there's a band playing. And I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. What is this? Like, I've never seen this live. And it was really great. But I was really drawn to popular pop music, like the Archies and all the bubblegum music, the Ohio Express and the Castanets Cats Orchestral Circus and all these flowery, shiny, fun things, because I needed balance in my life from this like daily body count that CBS was giving us every night. It was like really intense. So Milwaukee was a working class place that went from a booming 1940s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, little bit in the 60s industrial thing to being the land of things that used to be. Everybody left in the 70s.
Hmm.
Even the beer companies left. So it was like growing up in this weird, like kind of ghost town, you know. So it was kind of, it's been a, I have a love-hate relationship with it, you know. It's a tough place to grow up. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah. Well, in those days, was guitar the first instrument you learned, or how early did you start learning to play an instrument?
Guitar, absolutely. Yeah, I bought a guitar. I think I was a traditional bought a guitar when I was 16 kind of kid. You know, I think I was like got my first amp and my first guitar when I was 16, and I had a band called Breakdown because we loved Breakdown by Tom Petty, but we didn't know how to play it, so we just played Iron Man. We had the Christmas lights in the garage, and I just loved remembering like going to practice. Okay, I don't know. We never did a gig, but we would get together. We would just, like I say, we would play Iron Man. I think we learned Doctor Love by Kiss. Because there was a lot of time between chord changes, like duh, duh. Like we could do that one for my rock and roll over easy guitar book. Yeah, but guitar is hard. It's a hard instrument to learn,
It is.
and I'm just now learning how to play it.
Especially when you're figuring out that, hey, I should probably invest in some lighter gauge strings. I've got these really.
Right. Well, I wish somebody had told me about this thing called a capo a long time ago, because it makes it a lot easier to play. Anybody listening out there that has a guitar that has the strings are too hard to push down on, it's called action. Just buy a capo, go to your look it, and put it on the second fret, and everything's going to be a lot easier.
Exactly. Hey, I want to talk about Plug. Plug makes it easy for you to purchase the personal technology you need at 40 to 70% off retail pricing. What can you get from Plug? Certified pre-owned devices including iPhones, Androids, AirPods, Macs, smartwatches, accessories, and more. I originally didn't even want an Apple Watch, but I got one from Plug and I love it. I wear it every day. Your purchase is backed by their unmatched 1-year warranty and 30-day money-back guarantee. One more very cool thing, Plug is dedicated to helping reduce e-waste around the globe. To date, Plug has helped save over 1 million devices from reaching landfills, and they're looking to double that number by 2025. Link to Plug Tech from the show notes, and check out all the great deals and savings on certified pre-owned devices. Plug Electronics. Check it out. Well, while you're still living in Wisconsin, for a pretty good chunk of your life, did you form any bands while you were there, or was that mainly after your move to Atlanta?
No, I did. I've had a punk rock band called the Prosecutors with my friend Doug LaValliere, and we were both roadies for this band called the Haskells and the Oil Tasters. The Oil Tasters were on Thermidor Records, Jello Biafra's label, and the Haskells were like the really, really like super popular Milwaukee punk new wave band. And so I roadied for them. I was a roadie, and I had an underground newspaper that I had started as well. I wanted to be a rock writer. So me and my friend Dave Lurson, that still works for, I think, the Milwaukee Journal. We started an underground paper called Express, which became the Shepherd Express, which has been around still in Milwaukee for quite a while. I didn't have much to do with it. As I went to journalism school, in summer school, and I just really wanted to be a writer. But then rock and roll kind of pulled me into a different direction where writing's hard, to keep your train of thought going. So I really loved watching the band when I was a roadie. I would go sit in and watch bands rehearse. My friend Clancy Carroll had a band in the 70s. I would watch Brian Ritchie from the Violent Femmes. Me and Brian we went to high school together, and Brian, I used to watch Brian play guitar. He played like power chords, and he had this really cool band. He always had a bunch of bands. He played with Plastic Land, and so I would just follow him around and go watch him rehearse. He was he was a couple years older than me, so but he could really play guitar and the bass and all that. But I knew him mainly as a guitar player, I think. Well, that was my first band called the Prosecutors. We made 145. called The Prosecution Rests, and it was pretty good. And yeah.
And did I read somewhere that at one point you were working at a futon company, like working at the futon company in the day and playing music at night?
Well, that's in Atlanta. In Milwaukee, I worked for
Atlanta.
Peaches.
Okay. Oh, you worked at a Peaches. Oh, wow.
I was a 45 buyer at Peaches. And then I worked at, and then I got to work for this place called Radio Doctors, which was the number one stop in the Midwest. And so we would fill orders from 1,000 records for record stores to 2 records for like a barber shop in Des Moines or Cahokia, just, some soda shop that wanted one record. So we were a one stop. We were a distributor. And we had a record store upstairs. So it had been there since the 30s, I think. So it was a really great place to get my musical education between the being a roadie and seeing how songs are written, and being working at the record store and working for Billboard. I did inventory for Billboard, and so just learning how everything works, was really great. And then I kind of quit my band, and I quit Milwaukee, and I moved down south, and I was just a construction worker. I built sewage plants. And then I met a guy who lived down the street, and he started making me demos. So I was making demos with him while I was doing construction. And I did 2 years of hard labor. And then he owned a futon shop. So I eventually wound up working at the futon shop for him.
So that's where the futon shop was. Okay.
I came in. Yeah. It was yeah. But yeah, there was a band called Die Kreuzen. I don't know if you remember them, but they were a hardcore band out of Milwaukee. And when they would come visit me in Atlanta, I would put them up, and we would hang out with them, and they make their T-shirts, and we, they were like an actual first band I knew besides the Violent Femmes that were a national touring act. And they played San Francisco, and they played New York, and they played LA every year, twice a year. They would travel in this van, and it was just really inspiring to see all these things before I ever started like a proper band. Drivin N Cryin was, I'll consider, a proper band. I had all this information building up about how to do this and how I wanted it to be done and what I wanted to do. So
it came to fruition.
Yes. Don't careful what you ask for.
A winning all or nothing satisfies. You try to chew, you try to blue, time to sympathize. Deep in my pocket and on my sleeve, hard to recognize. On the shoulder, rumble strips, waking up. There's no such thing as a dead-end road. Maybe on a map, but not in my soul. You gotta keep on moving, you gotta move it along. You know the deal.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, Dave, how long have you been a Euclid Records customer?
Believe it or not, about 30 years.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I used to go there in the late 90s.
That's amazing. Well, you know what? 2026 is our 45th anniversary in St. Louis, and our New Orleans store is turning 15.
The NOLA store is cool, but the St. Louis store has 2 floors of used and new vinyl and CDs.
And every genre you can think of. You can shop in the store 7 days a week or on the website 24/7. We have our own shipping department, so anything you buy from us is lovingly mailed out by us.
When I buy from the website, I use the free local pickup option.
Yes, and we've also done some special orders for you. We do whatever it takes to get music in your hands. One thing, though, that you haven't done with us is sell your collection. We're always buying vinyl and CDs and cassettes for cash or trade. We even travel to someone who has over 1,000 titles in their collection.
So how does one partake in the Euclid Records experience?
Well, our St. Louis store is at 19 North Court Avenue in Webster Groves. You can check out our website, euclidrecords.com, every day to see the latest new and used arrivals, plus events. We share that on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as well. And remember, we ship worldwide, so no matter where a Frets listener is, there's Euclid Records.
The band name Drivin N Cryin came from one of your song titles, right?
Yeah, that was from my punk rock band. We had that one of our songs was "Drivin N Cryin," so that's where this that was on my first demo that I made, and so that my friend Frank French recorded the record. He was in a band with a guy called Brendan O'Brien at the same time, who wound up producing Black Crowes, Pearl Jam, Springsteen, all these other people. We're all kind of in the same little world over here. Yeah, Frank was in the 1910 Fruit Co. Company too, which is
really?
just like a really crazy, crazy world. Yeah.
Huh. You guys gained quite a following in Atlanta. And in those days, like what kinds of clubs and venues were you playing once Drivin N Cryin was getting out?
Well, there was we had like a CBGB's here called 688, which is like where every band played, every touring band played, and they were like that go-to punk rock club. The Cat's Cradle in Chapel Hill, and like like in Chicago, you had the Metro, or you had Shoe Buzz, or all those kind of places. St. Louis had like off Broadway. We played there. I don't know where else we played. We played in St. Louis in the old days.
Mississippi Nights.
We played Mississippi Nights was when we got bigger. We opened for Living Color there, and we used to play, the Bluebird, and is that what it's called? The Bluebird in Columbia, South Carolina, or Columbia?
The Blue Note.
The Blue Note. We played there, and when it was next door to this place called Liquor, Guns, and Ammo.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a classic photo of the Morels, standing out front of that Liquor, Guns, and Ammo sign down in Columbia.
Well, a good friend of mine, you know who Nicky Sutton is from there's a guy, me and Peter Buck did a tour called McDougal Blues Tour, and we picked up Nicky Sutton in Hoboken, and he was in this band called the Swell Maps. And Nicky was a great songwriter and singer, and just a really great guy. Very English, very Oscar Wilde. And he wrote a song. I took him to Columbia. Me and Peter and Nicky played Columbia, and we did Liquor, Guns, and Ammo. He wrote that song. He wrote a song called Liquor, Guns, and Ammo. So,
well, you mentioned 688. Wasn't that the label for the very first album, Scarred But Smarter?
Yeah, they started a record label in '86. I think we were their first main album. They had a couple other local acts. They had a compilation they made first, which was like us and the Flush Tones. Flush Tones were the marquee act, because I don't even know, they weren't from Atlanta, but they were huge in Atlanta. And a couple other acts like Arms Akimbo. Yeah, so at the same time they were definitely the like I said, the CBGB of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. But after that first album, then you ended up signing with Island for Whisper Tames the Lion.
Yes, which was basically the Golden Palominos. It was produced by Anton Fear,
right,
in New York, and it was kind of our first major label, so we didn't really have much to say about it. So we kind of did what we were told. But it turned out good. People love it. I like it. But it's not really where we were. We were like lay on the floor, psychedelic, hard rock,
right?
Lots of fog. And then we kind of were like, I guess this is what he sees in these songs, so let's do that. And it's Bernie Worrell's on it.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it's one of the Golden Palomino's best records. Until I made another Golden Palomino record with Anton Fear just in the early 2000s. Which is another really great record.
Was that A Good Country Mile?
Yeah, Tony Shear Aaron Lee Tashin, Anton Fier, Chris Masterson, all sorts of great. Andy Hess is the bass player. It's really great. I'm glad I did it. I was living in Brooklyn for 10 years or so.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, quick reminder to check out Frets with DJ Fey on YouTube. Subscribe for free and you'll find extras like shorts and videos featuring live performances of Frets guests. Subscribing really does help keep the podcast going. And did I mention? It's free. Now, back to the show.
Hey, y'all, this is Kevn Kinney from Drivin N Cryin, and you're listening to Frets with DJ Fey.
Well, you've stayed very busy over the years. I mean, you've worked on various side projects and solo albums, but Drivin N Cryin has always remained. I'm curious about one particular period of time, basically for all of us, and that's the pandemic days. I mean, my podcast was born out of the lockdown days. I was going crazy from boredom and had been wanting to do a show featuring musicians who played guitar. Just had this wacky idea. And I think during that period you were working on painting. Were you doing some paintings during that period?
Yeah, I did about 20 paintings or so in my attic. I was doing my podcast. I did this thing called on Fridays. I think it was Fridays. Or maybe it was Mondays. No, I think it's Fridays, called Free Parking.
Yeah, Free Parking.
And so I did Free Parking, and I'm going to go back to doing that after, like, in the fall. I think I'm going to start doing that again. And now that I have my computer set up finally, and I was doing that over at like a 2012 computer that didn't even have Ethernet or anything. It was amazing that it worked at all. But I really loved doing it and staying in touch with people. We had just recorded this record called Live the Love Beautiful, though. So that was kind of hard to tour on. And, it's kind of, I think it came out in 2019, I think. I can't remember. But it was a lot, it was really hard when the world shut down and just losing gigs, like all those gigs.
Right.
I couldn't believe it,
Yeah, in early episodes of Frets, the subject came up quite a bit about how musicians were dealing with the situation, either recording remotely and sharing files or doing home videos of songs and sharing them online. So
yeah,
it was a crazy period.
It really was. It was a good way to figure out who you were and what you were and why you were doing it, and if you really needed to be doing this. It kind of took me a minute to get back into wanting to do live performances. Anyway, I'm not a live performing entertainer. Like, I'm not dying. I will go present these songs that I wrote. I'm not really there to dance or anything. I'm not really, that guy. But I really love doing the paintings because they were all based on songs. So I kind of did I used to go hang out with Howard Finster and stuff and watch Howard work, and he write all of his little things. So I just wanted to do a bunch of paintings that were very colorful and were I have 5 granddaughters, and so I spent a lot of time shopping for children's books at Goodwill because they're incredibly cheaper than the children's books are very expensive. And so I love the very bright colors. And they're not great works of art. It's outsider art. Yeah. So, yes.
I loved Howard Finster's art. I did see, some of the originals at galleries. I really wish I could have gone and seen them in their context, but he was something else.
He was an interesting fellow. Yeah. You didn't have to. You only had to ask him one question, and then he would go for about an hour. So,
Well, several decades in now, I think close to 40 years, the Drivin N Cryin story continues, and you have a new album out, and I want to talk about some of the people who contributed to it. I'll start with one that makes me sad every time I think about it, and that's Todd Snyder, who provided some vocals.
yes.
I saw some memorable Todd Snyder shows back in my day. We mentioned Mississippi Nights. I saw him there back years ago, and oh my gosh, I think everyone was just like pretty torn up to hear that news a few months ago.
Yes. Well, I mean, me and Todd became friends back in 1990 when I was recording a record called Fly Me Courageous in Memphis, where he lived, and he was recording his first demos in the same studio. And I went and saw the show, and we became phone pals and then internet friends. And I would live in his house, for like a summer or a couple of weeks at a time. Or he's like my little brother. And so he came by the studio to visit one day, and I was recording the song called Iggy Monkey. I was doing vocals for the song called Iggy Monkey, which is a story about if the monkeys are all hanging out in their like wacky little house, and then like all of a sudden Iggy Pop shows up at like 2 a.m. He's like, "You want wacky? I got wacky." And so it's like Iggy like freaking them out a little bit, and then he like steals the monkey mobile and he heads down the Sunset Strip. So it was just a fantasy cartoon I had idea in my brain, and I put a little soundtrack to it, which is, what this is great about songs is, to be a writer, you got to write all these chapters and all these things. With music, you can just write the outline and then you add a soundtrack and you got a song. It's pretty easy. So Todd stopped in the studio just as I was about to sing the last verse, and I was like, Todd, will you sing the last verse of this for me? He's like, yeah. So he did it. He loved the story behind it, so he was really into it. So I was glad to have him. And then I lost him not long after that. Yeah, he was a real force of nature, brilliant songwriter, never stopped working. He never stopped typing. He never stopped thinking. He was just really, my friendship with him was just really special. Me and him, Elizabeth Cook, Aaron Lee Tashian, we had a little, and Chuck Mead, we had a little, we used to hang out all together on the porch and write and hang out. It's memories, really great memories.
Chuck Mead's going to be in town next month at Off Broadway, which is still my favorite venue.
Oh, he is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Well, please go see him and tell him I say hi, because he is a genius. He's a very important historical legendary figure in Nashville. He helped create a lot of that scene there. He deserves a lot of credit for all the things you're hearing on Outlaw Radio. The Nashville scene. I mean, Chuck helped freaking create that. So everybody should go see him.
Yeah, I had Chuck on the show, I guess it was last year, but he's great.
Oh, yeah, he is. One of my favorites.
And Peter Buck is on the new album. He's appeared on Drivin N Cryin albums before. He played guitar.
Absolutely. He's produced. He played on our Mystery Road record. He produced McDougal Blues. He played on Wrapped in Sky. I believe Fly Me might be the only one he didn't play on, but yeah, he's played on a lot of our records. And he brought out his R.E.M 12-string and played on Crushing Flowers and Mirror Mirror on this new record.
Mirror Mirror is a song you wrote about your mom and her battle with Alzheimer's. It's a beautiful song and a very beautiful video.
Thank you. I wrote it just kind of trying to think of what you do when you're in, if you're alone with your mom, and she's your mom, and but she still knows who I am, so that's great. But it was just, when you're sitting there just face to face and you're just looking at her, and I see her eyes, and I'm like, I know she doesn't quite know where she is or who she is. I mean, she knows who she is, but she doesn't quite know her history or where, what's going on in the present. The past is extremely clear to her, which is what I put in the song, like, yesterdays are living, clear and still alive. But maybe you remember me. It's possible you don't, And then I know you're in the summer looking for this song because songs really bring her to life. Like, she loves music. She loves Fats Domino. If I put on Fats Domino, she loves Fats Domino. I don't know why, but where that came from, but that's her favorite.
That's great.
Yeah.
know you're in there somewhere. I see it in your face. I know you're in there somewhere. Children of the sun, playing on the waterfront or out in the backyard. When everything was simple, you didn't have a past. I know you're in there somewhere. I hope that feeling lasts.
Well, you keep writing great songs, and we appreciate that very much. And,
Oh, well, thank you.
and listeners, the new album, Crushing Flowers, is a really, really great record. I had to go for the Coke Bottle Green. I'm really liking all the
Good.
colored vinyl that's coming out these days. So
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's fun.
Well, Kevin Kinney,
Yes.
thank you so much for taking the time to talk today. It's been a lot of fun, and I really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. And can I make one more little side note?
Yeah.
There's a compilation record that my wife has put out of Drivin N Cryin songs, songs that I wrote with, and Drivin N Cryin songs. It's called Let's Go Dancing, and it's 100 different artists covering Drivin N Cryin songs for 4 different charities. And you can get it on, you can look for it. It's called Let's Go Dancing. It's on Spotify. Let's Go Dancing compilation, Anna Jensen art. Is what it is. Or Tasty Good. It's on Tasty Goody Records. It's everybody from Peter Case to Reckless Eric to Jason Isbell to Gang of Four to all sorts of cool people picking their some songs that my wife curated, and she did a painting for everyone. But it's a really cool little thing. There's 4 albums out now, and there's going to be a box set eventually. So just letting your listeners know that exists, and it's a really fun way to listen to some of the songs that you've never heard me play before. Weird, different versions of the songs you never knew. So.
I love that. No, I'm glad you mentioned it. I'll be looking for that.
Chuck Mead does a great version of this song called "Paid in Full," but he does swear at the end, so be careful if you care about that.
All right. No problem here.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, my brother. Be well. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, man.
Dance with me, shaking all the troubles away. Got a joke for you, jukebox ready to play. Got a sand-cooked body, Holly and the Supremes. Shotgun cloud nine, I'm doing fine. Horses, wild thing, baby, it's you. Come on and dance, take a chance. Put one foot in front of the other, she gets a turn around. I got the jingle jangle, sugar Saturday night. Pop gold and pop and beat pop a little delight.
Is it okay if some of my dogs bark intermittently?
Yeah.
Again, my dog Dee Dee Ramona is laying here with me right now.
I
So
love
Dee Dee Ramona. Yeah,
Ramona. That's even
Yeah.
better.
she's sweet little Ramona. Sweet little Ramona.